Hello, my name is Drew Fox. Let me have a look at this little 5-minute film I made. That'll give you a little bit of context to my work, and then after you watched it, I'll give you a little run through of my working process, what was going on in my mind at the time, and how I came to actually make the camera and come up with the images that you'll see here. So if you can have a look at that, and then yeah. Like I was the sky. So I'm filming this from the hospital at the time, and really didn't know what was happening. Just had my phone. I was just filming everything that was happening around me, and no idea of putting it together as a film. So it's a ground glass screen inside the camera, and the phone looks and takes footage of the projection on the ground glass screen. So that's how I made the images look kind of ethereal, ghost-like. That's what the world I was trapped in for well over a year, and I felt totally isolated and separate from everyone and everything. That was the idea of the ground glass screen. I was filming a second image, so I wasn't actually getting the first hand, I was getting a kind of a second hand, and realities were layered on top of each other. It was a hallucination, you know. kind of had this idea that I'd met my ancestors when I was in the realm of the dead. I was clinically dead for quite a while. And this stuff all just came through almost in a trance. So that's my friend Pippa filming it. Yeah. So I created that artwork as a means of communicating with my family and my friends who I'd become completely separated from, psychologically, physically. The trauma of experiencing my own death twice in the same day was, death is an abstract concept. We all know we're going to die, but we don't actually believe it. We don't actually think it's going to happen because you can't contemplate it. How can you contemplate? It's gone. You're gone. Everything around you's gone. The whole of reality, it's just not going to be there anymore. You're not going to be there anymore. It's abstract. You can't get your head around that. I think if we did, it would be very difficult for us to get up and go about our business, you know. So to have the experience of this is viewed with that camera. Yeah, I kind of just wandered around London in a daze. I felt really ghost-like, you know, on such a completely different level to everyone else. Really, what happened was, at the moment of death, I found myself in a dreamlike state that was more real than this reality. Now I knew instantly that I was dead. I knew something terrible had happened. I was with my children at the time. We'd gone for a day out on the beach, and I was clinically dead for close on 10 minutes before my first responders, who are RNI lifeguards, turned up and began CPR. And then I was in CPR for about 15-20 minutes before the paramedics turned up, and they hit me up with adrenaline and restarted me, I think 11-12 times on the defibs before I came back. And it was that experience of, during that time is very different in the place that I was. I experienced eternity. I experienced a field full of lost souls. I was in a pit, which was just darkness that went on for eternity. I experienced the weight of eternity. It was all very strange, very disturbing. And strangely enough, it was really wonderful and beautiful, and it's such a strange thing to try and express. Talking about it doesn't seem to really do it justice. Making images is the closest I can come. This is some footage of the beach where I died, and I went back there 2 years later, and I was just in tears all the time. You know, it's incredible. But what happened to me was that on the first experience of my death, it felt as if I was undergoing a transformation. I was transforming into something else. I was aware that I was losing my humanness, and I was changing into I'm not sure what I was changing into. It was, the only way I can describe it, it was a reverse process of being born. When you're born, you can't speak, you have no need for expressing yourself other than food, I'm cold, I'm hot. So you haven't got language, you haven't got any insecurities about the way you look, you don't have to worry about food, you're fed, you don't have to worry about putting a roof over your head, getting a job, you don't have to, you have all these worries that we carry around with us on a daily basis. They're bolt-ons that come on year by year through our life. So you go to school and you learn how to read, you learn how to write, you learn you can say this, you can't say that, you have to behave like this, you can't behave like that. So all these things, one after another, just dropped away. The first thing that dropped away from me was the worry about how I looked. I don't have to get up in the morning anymore, I'm dead. I don't have to do my hair, I don't have to clean my teeth, I don't have to iron my clothes. It doesn't matter what I look like. The weight that we carry around with that knowledge on a daily basis is so heavy, you're not even aware of it because you did it repeatedly, day in, day out. And when that's gone, the relief is incredible. I don't have to worry about that anymore. And the next thing was, okay, so now I don't have to worry about my job. I don't have to worry about getting paid. I've got nothing to buy, I'm dead. I don't have to live in a house anymore, I'm dead. So all that stress and worry that you don't even realise is stress and worry because you do it, that's gone. So all these bolt-ons that we've had all through our life, it was as if I was turning back into what I was before I became me, as I am now. And that feeling was, it was a wonderful feeling. It was a wonderful feeling to go back to what you were, you know. And that's okay if you carry on through that process. You're dead and you stay dead. To be dead and then come back is quite terrifying, because suddenly you're looking at it from the perspective that we are now. Oh, that happened to me now. What? This is what's going to happen at the end of my days. So I've got to go through. I've died twice. So the third time, I'm hoping maybe I'll stay dead, or maybe I won't. I don't know. So yeah, it was very strange, but so traumatic. I was in a coma for 3 days. My family were told to come in and turn off the machine because obviously I'd suffered enough brain injury through being clinically dead without oxygen for long enough. Even if I survived without all the life support equipment, I was going to be in a progressive vegetative state for the rest of my life. And they didn't think that I was strong enough physically to survive it. They turned all the kit off, said goodbye to me, and I carried on. So they didn't really have a plan B, they didn't know what to do next. So I was in hospital for a month, and I was trying to climb out of 3rd-story windows. You know, I was terrified. I didn't know where I was. Didn't know I was in a hospital. That's how brain damaged I was at the time. I actually thought that I'd been captured by space pirates. I felt like I was in a spaceship. This is how crazy it was. I felt like I was in a spaceship. There was all this equipment around me, but people seemed to be very medieval in their expressions, in their tone, in their way. I'd just been with my ancestors in the land of the dead. I experienced the city of the dead. I wandered through the city of the dead, which is what that film there. It was very much, if you imagine being maybe a 3-year-old in London, and you've lost your parents, and it's dusk, but there's no one around, no one. No traffic, no cars, no anything, and you have the mentality of a 3-year-old wandering around and you're absolutely terrified. I had that kind of, to me, that was the city of the dead. But I felt like I was being watched, so it felt like a heavily populated area. I couldn't see anyone. Yeah, the whole experience was so traumatic. So when I was released from hospital, I really couldn't engage with anyone. I couldn't deal with anyone on a daily basis and talk about regular stuff. Because I just wanted to say to people, look, I'm dead. This happened, I went there. You won't believe what I saw here. I tried to draw it. I had real difficulty. Everything I drew was really quite disturbing, and it reinforced the idea that something horrendous had happened to me. I was making really grotesque art, and I decided I really got to stop this, and I've got to try and just explain vision. The only way I can do it, I can't explain to you what it was like. I can't explain what falling in love is like, or being angry. You know, again, abstract concepts. So I tried to make images because I felt that visually, if I could explain to someone visually what it looked like, it might give them a little bit of a sense of what it felt like as well. So that's what I tried to do. And with the camera, I had no idea what I was doing. I went into my shed and I found a biscuit tin and I found a baked bean tin and I cut a hole in it. I got a 50p lens off eBay. I stuck my phone to it. I had no idea of what I was doing. It was literally as if I was being automatic. It was an automatic experience. And by creating the work as well, by this I was sitting on the floor, hammering nails into bits of wood and sawing like on my leg, not on a bench or anything. And I felt a real connection to everyone I'd ever been. Really struck me. I am not just myself. I'm the genetic blueprint of thousands of years of my grandparents, my great-grandparents, my great-great-great-grandparents. I wondered to myself well, I knew they did. I knew at some point my ancestors were sitting around scraping things and doing this, and it felt really real. It gave me a sense of realness, that I wasn't down the shops buying trinkets to hang on my wall. I wasn't in the pub drinking a beer. I wasn't, I was doing something that felt fundamentally so genuine and real. It saved my life. It saved my life. Creating art, really, I was at the point where I wanted to go back to the void. I couldn't bear to be alive which is strange. You know, you've had all these people working so hard to bring you back, and you just, I really can't deal with this. So, how long have I got left? Is it over?
No, you're fine.
Am I good? Yeah, so really the process of creating art saved my life. I'll tell you about the void and why I think it saved my life. One of the experiences I had whilst I was dead, I was in a place that I call the void or the pit. It wasn't actually a void or a pit, but it felt like it. And it was just black, complete blackness. I had no body, I had no weight, I had no feeling, I had no senses, no exterior senses. It was purely in my mind. But I wasn't just in my mind here in the void, I was projected outside of the void, experiencing myself in the void. And that way it was like a torture. It was as if I was being tortured. And this me that was in the void had nothing. Had nothing. I had no feelings, I had no thoughts. And it's really difficult to imagine no thoughts. I was totally devoid of any kind of emotion. I was devoid of any thoughts, of any actions. I wasn't able to move, I wasn't able to do anything, but I could experience that I wasn't able to do anything. Not if I was that person, I couldn't experience doing nothing because I had nothing. But this person could experience, this me could experience that me having nothing. And it went on for eternity. I felt the weight of eternity, and I can't even begin to describe that. I felt what it was like to be forever and ever and ever with nothing, and it was hell. It was really terrifying. And that was just one of the places I went to on my many journeys through the land of the dead. And when I came out of this situation, I was a single parent at the time. My daughter turned 18 just after I came out of hospital, and shortly afterwards, I turned into a completely different person. It was very unbearable to be around. I was sobbing all the time, I was frightened, I couldn't go out. My daughter got her own place to live, moved out. I was so ill, I went to live with my parents, and I made this camera and all the bits and pieces that you see in the exhibition in one summer in the garden I grew up with in when I was a child. And I was sitting there contemplating everything, and the void came through. The void was alive. It's a sentient place. If you can imagine a nothingness having a mind and its own, and it wanted me back. And I was experiencing hallucinations whereby one reality would be layered on top of the other, which is again why I made you're viewing the ground glass screen, the images projected on that, because it was as if I wasn't actually seeing reality around me, I was seeing a projection of a reality that I didn't really feel comfortable with. And on top of that, there was almost like you could peer through a curtain, like a net curtain. The void came to me quite often. It was as if it had tentacles, and it was coming from the dimension of the dead into the dimension of the living through tentacles, and it was horrific. And it basically said to me, so what are you doing? What's the point of that then? What you make, what's this? What are you doing that for? What are you and I was trying to have an argument with it, saying, well, look, my life from now on, all I want to do is I just want to try and be as good as I can. I want to have a good time. I want to make good memories. I want to be with my kids. I want to be with my parents, my family. And he said, what's the point in that? You're coming back here. One day you're going to die and you're going to come back to the void. And that's all a waste of time. Come back now. Save yourself some time. Kill yourself. Come back now. You know, on a daily basis, what are you doing? Cleaning your teeth. You've already experienced that all being washed away. You don't need it anymore. Kill yourself. Come back. You know, so there was this constant fight with the void, a sentient place. And I think, from what I can gather, I got very interested in reading a lot of mythology and a lot of kind of different cultures' attitudes towards death. And it seems to be that the void is just one of the places that you go through on this journey. So you have to experience this, and maybe you have to fight against it to carry on. I get this idea that we have two options when we die. We can either just go, yeah, okay, let it happen, and you get broken up into a billion shards and just get spread. Or you can keep something that's fundamentally core about your soul, and that journey's on. So I think what I was going through, what I was experiencing, is I was trying to keep myself, even though it was changing and I was like in some kind of metamorphosis, I was trying to keep something fundamental about myself on my journey through death. And the void is kind of like trying to say to you, no, just become part of everything. Just give it up and become part of the void. So yeah, terrifying experience. Art, really, like I said in that, there's something magical about art. I'm sure everyone that makes art knows that. And probably a lot of people that view art feel the same way. There's something magical. I don't mean like Harry Potter, I mean real. There's something real about art. And I think that's why we all do it, because we've all been through a situation that has really taken us to some really dark places. And I think we've managed to get out of that by creating art. There's something in us that is, we're creators, all of us are creators, you know, and to be tapping into that gives us power or some kind of energy to work through all our daily worries and fears and what have you. So yeah, thanks Outside In. You know, I was just a guy in a shed hammering pieces of wood together. I got in touch with Outside In, and since then, wow, absolutely fantastic. So you guys, you worked so hard in representing us. I can't believe it. I'm so pleased to have discovered you, and thanks Chrysalis Arts as well, man. This is absolutely amazing. I think I've talked too much now, so I'll call it a day. Thank you very much. Cheers.